Knott's Berry Farm is one of America's nicest theme parks, and depending on who you ask, they might even say it's California's best. Located in the city of Buena Park, just a short drive away from Anaheim and the Disneyland Resort, sits the 57-acre theme park housing over 40 rides and attractions. And while many will choose to go to Disneyland for the immersive atmosphere or Magic Mountain for the thrill rides, Knott's Berry Farm brings together the best of both worlds with 4 themed zones and 9 roller coasters. The park is operated by the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation, formerly Cedar Fair before they completed a merger in 2024. But the park's heritage goes all the way back to 1920 with its founders Walter and Cordelia Knott. Walter and Cordelia set up shop in Buena Park because of the berry fields. They had no intentions of starting a theme park. They were there to sell berries, sandwiches, and pies. The farm was nothing more than a roadside attraction that was run by their entire family. 14 years after they arrived in Buena Park, they set up the Chicken Dinner restaurant, and that is what put Knott's on the map. The chicken was so good that they would draw in huge crowds from all over. They would create these big long lines, so they needed something for people to do in the meantime. Thus, in 1941, they established Ghost Town. This was built as a tribute to the pioneers of Southern California. It's based on the town of Calico, California, which is a real place you can still visit to this day if you want to see a real ghost town. A few years later, they adopted the full name that we know today of Knott's Berry Farm, but it wasn't until the 1950s when the idea of an amusement park began. They originally set up as a summer-long county fair. They started charging admission in 1968. It was $1 to enter if you were an adult and 25 cents for kids. We've come a long way since then. After Walter passed away, it was up to the kids to decide what to do with the property. They were actually approached by the Walt Disney Company, who had this big idea to convert Knott's into the Disney's America concept that failed near Washington, D.C. But the kids were afraid that the mouse would destroy everything that Walter had established, so they actually turned to Cedar Fair, who acquired the property in 1997. It is one of the world's top-performing theme parks due to its stellar location and year-round operation. Knott's is open just about every day of the year with seasonal events constantly taking place, including a peanut celebration, Knott's Merry Farm, and the legendary Knott's Scary Farm. I've been coming to Knott's almost every year since 2016, so almost 10 years at this point. I've experienced the park on 4th of July, done Scary Farm multiple times, I've stayed at the Knott's Hotel, I've seen rides come and go, and fun fact, one time I even visited Knott's Berry Farm the same day as King's Dominion. In this review, I'm going to be discussing every aspect of the Knott's Berry Farm guest experience, diving into the various rides and attractions, themed areas, and hopefully giving some tips and tricks in between. And before we even touch the inside of Knott's, I think it's important to acknowledge how when I say Knott's is in Buena Park, it is in Buena Park, surrounded with busy streets on all sides, and that makes this a very easy park to spot from the highway, as well as in general access. Knott's Berry Farm is looped into the public transit, so you can take a bus there. Due to its unconventional setup, you'll probably have to park across the street. Land in California, as we know, is very expensive, and they have utilized just about every inch of it. It might not take long to walk from the front to the back, but man, this place is packed with attractions. You will have no issue making a full day out of it. If there's one thing Knott's does well, it's creating a balanced experience. This park is inherently designed to appeal to every member of the family. They house 4 what I would call thrill coasters, 4 family coasters, 1 kids coaster, an entire kids zone, and even numerous attractions that do not have a height requirement, so you can have a 4-year-old on the same ride as your 94-year-old. Knott's has a little bit of everything, and I think that's part of the charm. They might be owned and operated by Six Flags, but in no way, shape, or form does it feel like one of the other parks. And the core of that all goes back to Ghost Town. As soon as you pass through that iconic entrance, this is the first thing you are greeted with. Ghost Town takes up the entire left side of Knott's Berry Farm. It is huge. So many streets and shops, including but not limited to a saloon, gun shop, toy shop, town hall, bakery, gazette, post office, stable, general store, theater, picture gallery, shooting gallery, museum, blacksmith, and jail. And you can go in just about every single one of these buildings. And not only will you encounter authentic pieces of memorabilia, but also meet character actors. People who are posing as residents of Ghost Town have a full backstory and can tell you more about the building you're in. And it forms a whole story. These characters know each other. You can choose to lean into it and they will just run with it. If you visit Knott's on a busy day and you want something fun to do, you could spend hours just in Ghost Town walking around, hanging out. And I think the way Cedar Fair treated Ghost Town was so well done because not only is it impeccably well kept, but all the rides were built on the outside so as to not disturb the streetmosphere. This includes Ghost Rider, what is my favorite ride in the park. It's what I consider to be California's best wooden roller coaster. It is a beast built by CCI. Incredible experience. Be prepared though to wait. This is typically the longest line in the park. There's actually a full separate review of Ghost Rider already up on the channel, as well as several of the other attractions in Knott's. Please go give those a watch if you want to learn more about the roller coasters, because I will not be going into as much detail in this video. Aside from Ghost Rider, in the back left corner, you have Pony Express. This is a short little Zamperla motorbike launch coaster. Good fun. Probably not worth a long line though. One little trait I quite like about this attraction though is its placement directly over the Calico River Rapids. It's fun to wave at rafts as you're going around this turn, or if you're on the rapids, you can look up and see the track directly above you. A couple of years ago, the rapids received updated theming and the whole thing just looks fantastic. One last coaster in Ghost Town is Silver Bullet, the ride that you saw directly above the front entrance. This is a weird one because technically Ghost Town is the location of the ride, but it's like right on the edge of the zone before you would enter Camp Snoopy or Fiesta Village, so it's really at the crossroads of 3 different areas. It's got beautiful colors, it's such an eye-catching, iconic attraction. Really solid invert, definitely worth doing when you're in the park, though be aware it is one of those attractions that can also get a bit of a line. With its location right up front, most people will run to either here first or Ghost Rider. So if you're one of those people that likes coming up with a strategy before your visit, you could either try to beat everyone out and be the first in line for something like Ghost Rider, or you could head to the back, maybe do Accelerator first, and then come back to these at the end of the day. Other attractions include the iconic Calico Mine Ride. This was super groundbreaking at the time of its construction. It's designed to feel like a mine train, like roller coaster, like it has a lift till, it sits on tracks, but it doesn't actually coast. So no, sorry coaster enthusiasts, it's not a credit. If anything, it's more dark ride. You go past all these show scenes and these huge caves, tons of animatronics. It is amazing. There's no restraint on your vehicle. This is a must-do for everyone in the family. And the same could be said for the Calico Railroad. This is a train that circumnavigates around the entire perimeter of the park. It departs every 15 minutes. It just has the one stop. The park is too small to have another station, but you go past some old facades and there's actually a robbery on board. The actors that participate are very quick and witty, so this is a fun one to interact with. And a similar thing can be said for the Stagecoach. The station for this is right behind Silver Bullet, across from the train. Here you can ride in an actual stagecoach pulled by real horses around Knott's Berry Farm. And finally, that brings us to Timber Mountain Log Ride, the world's first themed log flume. Six Flags Over Texas opened the world's first flume, but it wasn't themed. And let me tell you, I think this still might be my favorite flume in America. It is beautifully designed, keeps a fast pace, so much to see. It's something you're going to want to do multiple times, and charm just oozes from this attraction. It's so cool. Another must do when you come here to Knott's. But if you're not interested in the rides, there is live entertainment in Ghost Town, including but not limited to an authentic Native American hoop dance, which was very impressive. There's a lot of symbolism behind it. It was just mesmerizing to watch. The Wagon Camp Theater sits directly on the right-hand side when you enter Ghost Town. This is more of a traditional, old-fashioned setup where you can hear live music. And as I mentioned, there are plenty of actors just roaming through Ghost Town. So much to see and do, so many Easter eggs. Some of my favorites include the Catawampus. Super rare, species is extinct. This is the only place in the world you can see this incredible creature. 100% worth your time, just wow, beautiful in every way. And then if you head to the graveyard in the back of Ghost Town, go stand on the grave of Hiram McTavish. From below, you can hear him pounding, trying to get out of this grave like someone buried him alive. And legend has it, he journeyed all the way to Allentown, Pennsylvania afterwards to set up a steel mill. I hear it's a real iron menace. Oh, and if you also get the chance, go say hi to Sad-Eyed Joe. He stole a horse. He's been in there for a long time. As for food, while Knott's Berry Farm does not have my favorite food at a California theme park, they do have some pretty good places. In Ghost Town specifically, there's a tater tot place that has barbecue tots. That's pretty good. Sutter's Grill is home to like your pretty basic theme park food. Nothing to really shout at here in my opinion. Fireman's Brigade, however, that is pretty cool. You can watch people cook the food right in front of you. They got lots of different barbecue. I had the pulled pork sandwich, great sides like vegetable skewers, corn on the cob, toast. That's one of my favorites in the park. But let's move on. We covered the left side of Knott's with Ghost Town. When you walk in, if you were to move to the right, you would likely step foot into Camp Snoopy. This zone is primarily for kids. They have a ton to do here. And credit where credit is due, they just recently did a huge refurb on the zone and it looks fantastic. I'm a big fan of this waterfall. They just got a brand new kids coaster called Snoopy's Tender Paw Twister. You don't need a kid to ride it. It's actually a clone of Daddy Pig over at the Peppa Pig theme park. Sierra Sidewinder, however, is the big attraction here. Little odd that it's in a kids zone considering that even enthusiasts will want to ride this. It's actually been cloned all over the world, but this was the original location. It is super fun. If you get this thing spinning, it is out of control. But even if you're not going to ride anything, the vibe is incredible. There's a lot of these Planet Snoopy or Camp Snoopy areas across the Cedar Fair parks, but this one is by far the nicest. Plenty of picnic tables for parents to just sit back and relax. Kids can enjoy character meet and greets with Snoopy and Linus. You can just tell that a lot of thought was put into this zone, but that's not exclusive to Camp Snoopy. The nearby Fiesta Village, too, has also seen some recent refurbs. This was the second zone to ever open up at Knott's. It debuted 25 years after Ghost Town. It was meant to feel like an authentic Mexican village. A few years ago, the teams at Cedar Fair decided they want to bring Mexican heritage back into Fiesta Village because slowly over time, that true authenticity had just kind of fizzled out. Fiesta Village felt maybe more like a stylized amusement park section instead of a true themed zone. And now I think it is back to feeling immersive. Seeing the before and after was a wow moment. I love how much time and energy was poured into this area. It felt like everything was given a fresh coat of paint, some of them new color schemes, upgraded designs, and thoughtful installations that just bring it all together. One of the core attractions here is Jaguar, a Zero family coaster, and Jaguar has one of the coolest queues in the park. The whole thing is, of course, designed to feel like you're inside a temple. You'll walk past all these skulls, see these huge statues on either side, and the actual ride experience is a long one. 2 different lift hills. Back when Montezuma's Revenge was there, you would actually thread through the loop, but that whole project is a big mess. When it finally reopens, that will give Knott's officially 10 roller coasters, because the ride opened back in 1978. It closed in 2022 for a major refurb, but since then, it's just been delayed and delayed. Many people under the impression that it was just canceled altogether, but it seems like it's finally happening. I'm curious to see how it turns out. They have updated the launch system, given it new trains. In theory, it should be a pretty cool experience. Other rides that call Fiesta Village home include Soul Spin. This is a Mondial top scan that replaced the park's old Windseeker, which, fun fact, can now be found at Worlds of Fun. When it's actually open and operating as it's supposed to, it looks great. The park gave this ride its own custom soundtrack, which they definitely did not need to do, but it's such a spectacle to watch. I'm also a big fan of their Hat Dance flat ride. While I've never ridden it myself, I just think it looks so colorful and fun. And the same goes for Revolucion. We've seen many of these rides at like carnivals, but here it just looks a million times better with this beautiful paint scheme. Maybe the best looking flat ride in the park. It's either that or Soul Spin. In terms of dining, the must-eat location here is Casa California. It is, of course, Mexican food. It is served Chipotle style. Very good. In general, I was very impressed with how Fiesta Village came together. As you're walking down the street towards Supreme Scream, the markets are so lively that even for a split second, you forget that you're in a theme park. It's set up like an actual market in Mexico. And each land here at Knott's Berry Farm has themed audio. And in Fiesta Village's case, they've disguised those speakers to look like pots lining the rooftops. And I love that added touch. And finally, that brings us to our last zone, the Boardwalk, which is patterned after a traditional boardwalk-style amusement park. Lots of midway games and bright colors. I would say it embodies like a 50s pastel aesthetic. You can even see that with this diner right next to Accelerator. Accelerator itself is painted to look like a sunset. The colors of Hang Time and Coast Rider are just so eye-catching, and even the Johnny Rockets just feels old school. This zone has also had a pretty interesting history. Before Coast Rider, Knott's Berry Farm was home to a pretty crazy water ride called Perilous Plunge. While I personally never got to experience it, it was built as the tallest and steepest water ride. and it certainly had that OMG wow factor, though from what I understand, it was very unreliable. And speaking of unreliable attractions, before Accelerator, this zone was home to Wacky Soapbox Racers and its sequel, Windjammer Surf Racers. Soapbox Racers was well loved as a dueling aerodynamic steeplechase coaster. It closed in 1996, and when they tried to replicate that with Togo, it did not go so well, only operating on and off for 3 years. It's okay though, because Accelerator has become a fan favorite. It was the world's first hydraulic launch coaster from Swiss manufacturer Intamin, and while it also has had its fair share of downtime, it is a huge adrenaline rush. It's the fastest ride in the park, 82 miles per hour vertical drop. Do not miss this ride. Next door to Accelerator is Supreme Scream. This is an S&S triple shot, gives you amazing views of the surrounding area, but if drop towers aren't your thing, Knott's Berry Farm also has Sky Cabin, an observation tower. Amazing 360 views of the entire park. On a clear day, you can see downtown LA and Disneyland. I love riding it so I can just watch hang time go around. This Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster is magnetic. When it opened in 2018, it completely reshaped the boardwalk. During my first visit, I experienced its predecessor, a Vekoma Boomerang, just simply known as Boomerang. While it was a classic, there was nothing original about it, and it will not be missed. And fun fact, my friend bought the lead car, so I've sat in it in his garage, and that was kind of fun. I like it more in the garage than I did on the ride. But getting back to hang time, one of its absolutely best features is its nighttime lighting. It's pretty common that Knott's Berry Farm will be open after dark, especially during the winter months, and the KCL light package that was given to hang time is the best I've ever seen. In particular, I'm a big fan during special events such as Scary Farm, where periodically the lights will be in sync to music for a special show, and it is suddenly one of the must-sees in the park. I would really love to see more places take the same approach, because it works so well here. If only I was as big of a fan of the coaster next door, Coast Rider. This Mock Rides Wild Mouse opened in 2013 as a big refresh for the boardwalk, and unfortunately does not have the best reputation due to its uncomfortable shin guards. That makes this one of the most unpleasant Wild Mouse coasters that you can experience. So if you're counting credits, yeah, at least do it once, but certainly not a favorite. And if you were to go just past the Johnny Rockets, you'll see a set of bumper cars and the park's screen-based shooting dark ride, Knott's Berry Tales. This is a replacement for their Voyage to the Iron Reef attraction and takes place inside a berry factory. It's actually a callback to an original attraction by the same name, Knott's Berry Tales. Walter built it back in the 70s, and this is a new take on it. And for me, the ride is just okay. And while I'm glad that an indoor shooting dark ride exists here, I feel like they could do better. Some of the practical sets are fun, but they don't even try to hide the screen edges. The picture quality is only alright, and when you already have a couple other animatronic-based rides in the park, it makes Knott's Berry Tales stand out as the odd one out. In terms of food, I mentioned the boardwalk is home to a Johnny Rockets. My go-to is usually Boardwalk Barbecue. Some really great options there. I also really like the vibe. And there's also really good pizza and pasta on the back left side at Prop Shop Pizzeria. I had pizza with corn on it, or you can get some with Thai chicken. And I feel like it's more and more rare that theme parks actually sell pasta, especially some with like different sauce options. I had Alfredo with chicken, and that was fantastic. So there really are plenty of great places to eat in Knott's. And especially if you're someone like me that has the Cedar Fair dining plan, you get 2 meals a day every 4 hours, or you can also get the all-day dining deal, which I believe is food every 90 minutes. With my season pass, I also have a drink plan, and that gives me free soft drinks every 15 minutes. At Knott's Berry Farm, always get the Sprite mixed with boysenberry punch. 75% Sprite, 25% boysenberry. Trust me, it is so good. But with that, we've completed the loop of the park. I've talked a lot about the great things of Knott's. Unfortunately, it wouldn't be a true review of the park without mentioning one of the larger downsides that does come with this property, and that is that the operations can be hit or miss, and it could potentially affect your day, especially if you're here when it's crowded. Knott's Berry Farm can get absolutely slammed, and if you did not get fast lane for your day, that could lead to a very rough visit. Oftentimes, some roller coasters here will operate with one train that includes Accelerator, Jaguar, Pony Express, and sometimes even Ghost Rider, and that is brutal. If you aren't interested in shelling out for an all-day fast lane, one thing I at least like is that they do offer single-use fast lanes if you just want to get that one ride. The price tag can be kinda high, but it'll still be cheaper than an all-day band. I recommend avoiding Knott's on its peak days, especially Saturdays. Because it's only 57 acres, the pathways will just feel busy and it can honestly get a little suffocating. But on the other hand, if you go to Knott's on let's say a Tuesday or a Wednesday in the off season, the park will be so quiet that it'll be off-putting. It seems like there's really no in between. The park is either jam-packed or a ghost town. Pun intended. I think in general though, one of the best things that Knott's could do is get another big high capacity ride like Silver Bullet. More people eaters would go a long way. But again, land becomes an issue. How do you expand when you have roads on all sides and neighbors on one of those sides who don't want a lot of noise? All the big thrill rides are on one side of the park, and that's done very intentionally. I know a couple years ago there was a lot of talk about Knott's Berry Farm getting a Giga or Hyper coaster. Ultimately, if done well, I think that would be amazing here and just the kind of ride that they need, but they would have to get creative with the land usage. I think it can be done though. Any other attraction to pull the crowds away from other big popular attractions. Waiting 2 to 3 hours for one ride is not fun. I would even call it miserable. And sometimes, even Fastlane doesn't make it that much better. I've waited 45 minutes in the Fastlane line for Ghost Rider before, and that detracts from the guest experience, which becomes a problem when one of the park's best events is Knott's Scary Farm that ultimately is just going to be busy every single day they offer it. I love this event to bits. It is my favorite Halloween event in the world. The houses are world-class, so much detail, amazing scares, and the zones, in particular Ghost Town, is just filled with fog. It is incredible. And shout out to The Hanging, their live show. So funny. That's a must-see every year. For a park tight on land, it's incredible that they find space to fit in this many haunted houses. Even going as far to open up a backstage area by Ghost Rider to house several of those buildings, just to create more space. It is pretty cool, and there's nothing quite like being at Knott's Berry Farm till 2 a.m. So in conclusion, Knott's Berry Farm is genuinely one of my favorite theme parks in America. It is not perfect, but it is dang good. I try to visit every year. I found the park to be very repeatable, even though they only have a handful of thrill coasters. As a lover of theme parks, Knott's has so much to explore that's what sets it apart for me from other parks of a similar size. If given the opportunity, I highly recommend a visit to Knott's Berry Farm, and please let me know down in the comments below if you've experienced the park, if you agree with the points that I brought up, and if you think there's anything I missed, please post it down below, and stay tuned for more park reviews here at Coaster Studios, and I'll see you next time.